On these problems, we're now going to have fractions throughout the problem. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to eliminate these denominators. Excuse me. So we're going to eliminate these denominators now. So in order to eliminate these denominators, what we have to do is we have to multiply each term by what's called the lowest common denominator of these three denominators. So notice here I have 4, I have 4, and I have 24. So I need to get the smallest number that all three of these will go into. So that's called the lowest common denominator, LCD for short. Now the lowest common denominator for 4 and 24 is actually 24, because 4 will go into 24 and 24 will go into 24, and 24 is the smallest number that both those numbers will go into. So now I need to multiply each term by the LCD 24. So if I multiply 24 times 3/4, and then I have to multiply 24 times 5/4, of course it's really a minus, and then 24 times 114 over 24. Now in order to do this, I like to, you could just multiply 24 times 3 and divide by 4, but I like to use a little trick. Since I know 4 will go into 24 and give me 6 into the numerator, then I know 6 times 3 is 18. And then here I know that 4 will go into this numerator again, giving me 6. And then but remember I have a minus here, so it's minus 6 times 5m, and minus 6 times 5m would give me minus 30m. And then over here, since this number is the same as the denominators would cancel when you multiply, and you just get 114. So now we're back to where we were in the previous video. So to get the minus 30m by itself, I'll just subtract 18 from both sides. So that way when I have 18 and subtract 18, they'll cancel. And then if you subtract 18 from 114, 114 minus 18 is actually 96. So on the left I'm going to get negative 30m, and on the right I'm going to get 96. Now, nobody said that your answers had to always be whole numbers. So this time if I divide both sides by negative 30, I didn't show it that time, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to divide both sides by negative 30. And so if you divide both sides by negative 30, then on the left, negative 30 divided by negative 30 just cancels, and you just get m. And on the right, you get 96 divided by negative 30, which is just what I got here. And then since that's a positive divided by a negative, we know that result's going to be a negative fraction. And then to reduce this, I've said, well, what will go into both 96 and 30? So the answer was 6. So if you divide 6 into 96, you get 16. And if you divide 6 into 30, you get 5. So 96 divided by 6 is 16, 30 divided by 6 is 5, and we know this is a minus, so it's going to be minus 16/5. And if you want a decimal value, if you divide 5 into negative 16, you get negative 3.2. Okay, so let's do another one here. On this one, the denominators are 2, 4, and 16. So I need to know what will go into, what's the smallest number that all three of these will go into. And so that's going to be 16. So the lowest common denominator is 16. So I need to multiply each term by 16. So multiply 16 times 3, 16 times 3 halves n, and then on the right hand side 16 times 7/4 n, and then 16 times minus 19 over 16. Now 16 times 3 is just 48, so that part was easy. And on this one we can do the little trick again. 2 goes into 16 8 times. And so that's going to give me 8 times 3n, which is 24n. And then over here, we know that 4 goes into 16 4 times. So that's going to give me 4 times 7n, which is 28n. And then here, we're going to get 16 over 16 is just 1, but we still have the minus out here, so we'll get minus 19. Okay, now I could do two steps at once here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it one step at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get my numbers all on the right and my variables all on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 48 from both sides. So if I take 48 away from the left, I'll get 48 minus 48. That way the 48s would cancel. And then when I subtract 48 from the right, I have minus 19 minus 48, and that's actually going to be minus 67. So I have on the left, I'll still have this 24n right here on the left, so I'll bring it down. And then on the right, I have the 28n, so I'll bring it down. And I also have the minus 67. Okay, now I want to get all the n's on the left. So what I can do to get rid of it over here is I can take 28n away from that. So subtract 28n from the right side, and that way these two guys will cancel. And then if I subtract it on the right side, I also must subtract it on the left. So I have 24n minus 28n, and that's just going to give me negative 4n. And then I bring down the negative 67, and so I have negative 4n equals negative 67, and then divide both sides by negative n. I'm sorry, I meant to say negative 4. So divide both sides by negative 4, and when you divide negative 4n by negative 4, you just get n. And when you divide negative 67 by negative 4, since you're dividing a negative by a negative, you get a positive 67 over 4. I didn't write it as a decimal this time, but you can if you want to. So that's how you work fractions. I've got two more here, but let me just do one of these. And if you want to pause the video and work the second one on your own, you can. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. On this one, before I get started, I'm actually going to multiply. See, I have a 2/3 times this parentheses. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to distribute the 2/3. So I have 2/3 times m, and then you're going to multiply 2/3 times 9/4. Well, if you do that, you can do that on scratch paper if you want to. 2/3 times 9/4. Okay, so that's going to be 2 times 9, which is 18. I could also cancel here, but I'm just going to do it this way. 3 times 4, whoops. So 3 times 4 is 12. So then I have 18 over 12, and if I reduce that by dividing the top by 6 and the bottom by 6, that reduces to 3/2. So as I said, I got to 2/3 m, and then when I multiply 2/3 times 9/4, that's 3/2, and then you bring down the minus 10/3. And then you, on the right hand side, you just have to bring down the 18, the negative 53 over 18. Now, clean this up just a bit here. Okay, so I've got the denominators here are 3 and 2, and of course another 3 and 18. So I need the smallest number that all of these will go into, and that would just be 18. So now let me multiply each term by 18. So 18 times 2/3. Now remember, you can do the shortcut. Divide 3 into 18, which is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12 to get 12m. Or you could just think of this as 18 times 2/3, and 18 times 2 is 36 divided by 3. 36 divided by 3 would be 12. So either way, you're going to get 12m for that. And then when you multiply this, I'll do my little trick here. 2 goes into 18 9 times. And so I get 9 times 3, which is 27. And then I can do the same little trick here. 3 goes into 18 6 times. And so I get minus 6 times 10, so that's minus 60. And then here, the 18s just cancel. And so I just get minus 53 over here. And so now let me go ahead and combine these two terms. 27 minus 60 would give me a minus 33. And so I've got 12m minus 33 minus 53. Now I want to get the 12m minus 33. I want to get the 12m by itself. So what I can do is I can add 33 to the left-hand side. So if I add 33 to the left-hand side, that'll just cancel the minus 33. But if I add it to the left, I also must add it to the right. So I get negative 53 plus 33, and negative 53 plus 33 is actually negative 20. So I'm just going to get 12m equals negative 20. And then if you divide both sides by 12 to get m, you get m is equal to minus 20 over 12, or minus 20 twelfths. And then if you can reduce 20 twelfths by dividing the top and bottom by 4. So if you divide the top by 4, you get 5. Divide the bottom by 4, you get 3. So my final answer there is negative 5/3. And then again, you can go through this one if you want to here, and basically it's just more of the same concepts. Okay, so that completes the linear equations, and the next video I'm going to do some applications of linear equations.